Hello, everyone. I am Heather Newman, and I am the Principal PM Manager for the Dynamics 365 and Power Platform Community Success Team at Microsoft. And I am thrilled to be here as a community reporter for ESPC for this year. And I have Chris Thorpe, who is amazing and wonderful, Cloud Solutions Architect from Quest. And we're going to talk a little bit about biz and a little bit about, what's going on in the world. And Chris, how are you? Good to see you.
Hi, Heather. Yeah, I'm great, thanks. Can't wait for next week and the start of ESPC.
Absolutely. It's been a long time. You and I were just talking, so it's nice to see you, for reals.
Yes, I didn't think we'd be having a second virtual ESPC, but that's the way of the world at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, for sure. So hopefully in person shortly next year. So we will see.
Yes.
So talking about Quest, I know that your mission mantra and all of that of move, manage, and secure is what you talk about as a company. And I would love it for I know so many people know Quest. You've been around for such a long time and such a great Microsoft partner. But for those who don't, maybe could you give that big top view of what that means for you and the company? Yeah.
Sure. So we basically take it in those three sections because that's what our customers are asking about. So typically our move now is helping people to move into the cloud, into the Office 365 tenant. From there, we then have a number of different products to help them to manage their environment in there. And we also have secure strategies as well to help them in case that disaster happens.
Right.
If they get ransomware attacks, we can help them to recover from that. So it is very much how do we get to the cloud? How do we manage things in the cloud? And then from there, how do we make sure that if the worst case scenario happens,
right,
how do we get back to business as usual as quickly as possible?
Yeah, so that coverage from start to finish, all the way through. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And we've been around for a long time, as you say.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of products in the portfolio, and we try and work out what customers need. Customers tell us what they need, and we try and develop to that principle.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of products in your line, you have just brought in Binary Tree and Quadratech, so that's a big deal. And I know that two great companies that have also been terrific Microsoft partners over the years. And so will you tell everybody a little bit about how those products are going to come into the fold?
Yeah, so those two acquisitions happened in the third quarter of last year. So okay. Binary Tree came first, and then a couple of months later, it was the Quadratech acquisition. And so what we are doing at the moment is all of the products that those companies offered are still being run, they're still being offered, because that's the way that, again, that we integrate things. We look at them, we try and take the best of breed, and we integrate them in together. So again, both companies had a very strong SaaS platform. So Binary Tree with their Power 365 and Quadratech with their Nova and their Cloud Commander offerings.
Right.
And so what we're doing now is we're just at the process of integrating those. So the fruits of that are starting to be seen now. So inside of the like the Quest on Demand platform, we're starting to see the hybrid Active Directory migration processes coming on board, and we're pulling through various different features there. So the full flexibility for day one management, which is what we call it, which is right. allowing us to have the full GAL access for both the source and the target tenants, allowing people to work together from day one, and then gradually consolidate everything into a single tenant, but not having to go through a big bang approach of, trying to do everything to migrate across a weekend and hope everything works by the Monday morning.
Because I never like that. I'm like, no.
And a very high risk approach.
Yeah.
And typically, once you've gone down that path, you can't come back. So you've right. got to struggle along wherever you go. Whereas this way, we can drip feed things through. We can start with small groups, and we can work through it and build as we get more comfortable with the process and as the customer becomes more familiar with it. And of course, we don't overload their support environment with 300 or 400 people or thousands of people ringing the support desk to go, I can't log into my email anymore. What's going on?
Yeah. Right.
So that's what we're doing at the moment. And with the Quadratech side of things, we're just having a look again at the different synergies that we can build into place. So again, the Nova platform, which was their SaaS offering, we're looking at how we can integrate that into our on-demand, and we'll probably have a couple of new modules coming through inside of that on-demand environment. But that doesn't mean that Nova customers need to think about what they're doing today, because we will still continue to support that existing platform until people are ready to move across. And we're developing the processes to have a seamless migration from one platform to another, because the last thing you want to ask people to do is, okay, you spent 2 years configuring this SaaS application and the environment. Guess what? Now you're moving across and you've got to do all of that again. That doesn't make sense. So we're looking at how we can integrate that and work through those different processes. But it's a big project. It's going to be 6 to 12 months at least before we see a lot of these things come through, and probably 18 months to 2 years before everything is finalized. But everything will be supported until that time. So it's just one of those things. It happens in acquisitions. I came into Quest as part of the Metalogics family, and some of those products have now reached the end of life. We've discontinued a couple of subsections, but we've moved on and we've added an awful lot of the Metalogics know-how into the on-demand migration.
Right. Yeah, I know. I think I helped with the Best of Breed awards for Metalogics.
Yes. Way back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day. And so it's been. I mean, Quest is known for having such a strong set of technologies, and also picking those that really complement what you're already doing and bringing them in and just really flawlessly having them become part of the family, and having your customers really just kind of go, okay, blending in. It's like blending in the good cake batter, I guess, right? As it goes along. So we were talking a little bit before we jumped on the interview, and that we haven't seen each other in a really long time, and then obviously we're through screens and this virtual event, and I really care a lot about culture and community, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about sort of what Quest is doing as a company, of like company culture, and helping address some of the things out in the world right now of work-life balance and diversity and mental health and all of that. And maybe you could share some things that are going on internally with us. That would be awesome.
Sure. So Quest are actually ahead of the game, because we've had a work from home policy in place for the last 4 or 5 years. And so this has been very much a business as usual situation from us. I mean, obviously, I tended to go into the office once or twice a week. I would maybe go traveling once or twice a month at the very least. So all of that has kind of stopped. But the day-to-day workings of Quest is very much the same. But we've also got a very strong culture of care around the individuals that work for Quest. We are. And it's a cliche, but we do see each other as kind of like work families. And so, we've recently introduced an equality and diversity committee to make sure that everybody's voice is heard around the company, irrespective of whether you're the C-level or, whether you're a new graduate who's just come into the company. You all have the same voice, and you're all able to be heard to speak about what's important to you. And I think that's what's important is, we are $1 billion a year company in terms of revenue, but I know that I could pick up the phone or drop a Teams message through to Patrick, who's our CEO, and he would listen to me. Yeah. And so it's an important culture perspective in the company. And it's also a very flat structure in terms of the teams and the levels that we have. I think Patrick is 3 layers above me as a solutions architect, and I don't have anybody reporting below me. So it's nice to have that ability to feel that you have you can speak freely to anybody at any level above you. And when we were having our sales kickoffs and our conferences internally, you always knew that you could go up and speak to people and have a chat and go to the bar and have a drink with somebody and just talk. It's a nice company to work for, and it's somewhere that I feel I've worked for a number of companies. We've worked together at a few. It's comfortable. I like working here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And you can see it on your face too. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think, those things are important, and they're, I think, become even more important through all of this for all of us, taking a look at those things, and companies that are, either continuing the good work they've been doing, stepping up, or adding to. I think, those are the companies that can continue to, get folks, interested in being a part of their companies, right, and retaining those that are already there, right?
That's it. That's it. I mean, of the Metalogics and Quadratech and Binary Tree, a
Yeah.
lot of the people that have been brought on board are still here.
Yeah. Cool.
It's a nice feeling, and obviously there are obviously situations where you have duplicates,
sure.
and
and
people have to go through with that. But there are a lot of people that have come in and
right.
Replaced incumbents. So
Right.
they really do look at who's the best fit for the particular role.
That's great. Well, awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. Those were our 3 questions for our chat today. So, I just want to say thank you, and how nice it is to see you and talk with you for a little bit. I mean, how lovely.
Yes, thank you, Heather.
Right? Absolutely. So, and really appreciate your Quest sponsorship of the show and the event. That support is always awesome, and I know ESC and all of us appreciate it very much. So, thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you. We recognise that ESPC is a key event across Europe, and we want to be at the forefront of that and continue to sponsor it in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it. And everybody, thank you so much. I'm Heather Newman, your community reporter, and please enjoy your ESC and have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey everybody, this is Christian Buckley with ESPC 21 Community Reporters with another 3 questions with one of our speakers, one of our Microsoft speakers, April. Hey, welcome.
Hey Christian.
Why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do?
Yeah, I'm April Dunham. I'm a Power Platform Developer Advocate at Microsoft. So I work with our cloud advocacy team. We have all kinds of advocates from Power Platform to M365 and Azure and .NET and all of that. So my focus is on Power Platform and creating content and anything that we can do to upskill people in the Power Platform.
Excellent. Well, I've got 3 questions for you. The first question, what are some of the new things that are coming to the Power Platform that have you excited? I mean, obviously with Build just behind us, immediately behind us, a lot that's been announced. What's interesting to you?
So, one of the things that's really cool is all of the code first developer extensibility stuff that they're looking to bring into the Power Platform, from, the deep integration with DevOps pipelines and helping automate processes there, to the Azure API management, being able to seamlessly integrate that into our Power Apps and Power Automate applications there to connect to external data. That's a really big one, a big focus area. Another one that I'm really excited about is Power FX. Not sure if you've heard a lot of talk about that, but it was kind of announced as being a thing at MBAS at the Business App Summit, and there's some great sessions on it at Build as well. So it's kind of Microsoft's goal of getting a unified programming language for the Power Platform across all the products. Because right now it's kind of disparate how we do different things and expressions and Power Apps versus Power Automates and all the applications. So that's going to be a big push in the Power FX Excel-based programming language that I'm really excited about.
Very cool. Okay, question number 2. With Power Platform's rapid adoption and growth, you see a lot of non-developers that have really embraced the citizen developer movement. And some developers may be thinking, hey, what's happening to my job? If end users are able to go and do this for myself, what's happening to those roles, and specifically around the Power Platform? Are jobs going away?
Yeah, that's a great question. One that I definitely get a lot of feedback I get on this. This to me couldn't be farther from the truth. Many people, when you talk about low-code platforms and code-first development, traditional development, they think it's an or discussion. Like you either going to do this in low-code or in traditional code, but it's really an and discussion when you look at it. So it's really, we're seeing an emergence of what we're calling, you might have heard us talk about here at Microsoft a lot, fusion development teams, which is the combination of the low-code developers building applications and Power Apps or workflows and Power Automate, working together with the traditional developers with the C# .NET and traditional programming language skills to build solutions. So that's really something that's emerging. It's definitely not an or talk here, it's an and we're showing this in our products as well, with all the professional developer extensibility points that we offer, from being able to connect to APIs, create custom controls, plugins and dynamics, all these different areas that we have where professional developers or code-first developers can come in and easily help take the Power Platform solutions that low-code devs are building to the next level.
And another way to think of it too is you think of like the maturity model, approach to things. You may go in and as an organization and may decide, hey, what can we do right now? Like today, what can we go in and do to solve some of these business needs? And then as you test things out, you get more feedback about those initial solutions. It may be that they get more and more complex, and where it may be more of that traditional development solution, a longer term solution in place. So it's not that you have to go and scope it out, a project, then wait weeks for something to come that as part of that longer term strategy, but there are more tools in the tool belt to go and solve problems immediately, and not tap out your developer or your IT organization to go and build those low level things.
Yeah, exactly. Another interesting way to look at it too is it allows code-first developers to focus on what they actually want to focus on. Because I come from a development background myself, and I don't know about anyone else out there watching this that also come from a development background, but I found myself having to be the jack of all trades. Maybe I really liked front-end development, but I was having to do some back-end stuff, or I really liked the back-end side of things and APIs, but I had to do the front-end stuff. So one of the things that the Power Platform can help with that is you can have a low-code developer build a really nice front end in Power Apps, and you can work on the API integration and the back end and the data layer, what you actually want to do.
Well, that's and you've mentioned a couple times the phrase, the low code developer. Kind of how do you differentiate between like the roles of the handoff? Kind of is there a best practice the way that you recommend to organizations about, what is how's that role defined of low code versus I look at it as more high code or traditional developer roles.
Yeah, I mean, so low code developers, they're going to be leveraging, the Power FX language that we just talked about, right? So the formulas and Excel-like expressions within Power Apps, or, maybe creating Power Automate workflows that maybe have some complex expressions. But the minute you go beyond that and you need, custom components in your application, or maybe even you just need help architecting. That's another area where, professional or code first developers can really help, is play that architect role almost. Like if you need to think of it from a holistic standpoint of deploying this from dev, test, and prod, and that whole process, and what's your data layer need to be like, and serving as kind of like the solution architect. That's another role that I think code first developers can really take on in the application lifecycle.
I think that's why you have a lot of traditionally business analysts, systems analysts, people that be more on the business side of things, but able to, again, as we talked about earlier, go in and solve some fundamental needs themselves without tapping into IT or the development team. But also that's somebody who's going to be plugged in long term and be able to better understand the data, better understand the business system, and be that business contact for the development team to go and build that and architect that long-term solution.
Exactly.
So these are all roles that are not going away, people.
Yep.
They're all still going to be there. Okay, question number 3. With the rise of the citizen developers that we've talked about, a lot of organizations are wondering what they should do in addition around security. So are there specific recommendations or best practices for security when you're talking about the Power Platform and building out a more formal structure around your citizen development platform?
Yeah, great question. And we offer a lot, for the security side of things. Now, one of the things that you'll see, one of the things PowerCat team recently released at Microsoft was a adoption model for the Power Platform, which is pretty interesting, shows the different areas and how the Power Platform adoption process goes based off of some of the work that they did with some of the large enterprises adopting the Power Platform. And one of the things that you'll see when early adoption, you have these things in Power Platform called environments, and those are where you can deploy your Power Platform assets in. We have a default environment in the Power Platform, and that one, sometimes when it's you're first adopting this, is kind of the end all be all. You use and you put everything in that environment. So one of the first things from a security approach that you can take in your adoption model is differentiating and creating separate environments for maybe a traditional application lifecycle approach, like a dev, a test, and a prod environment. And each of those environments can have different security applied to them, like as far as who can access them, and more importantly, who can create applications in them. So you can kind of rearrange your default environment to be a personal productivity environment with certain data loss prevention policies, which is probably the biggest thing that we offer as far as security in the Power Platform, to be able to take and set a policy saying that maybe someone can't connect to Dynamics and SharePoint, for example, in an application the same way that they could connect to Twitter. So that if you don't want someone to tweet out some confidential information, we have ways that we can classify different connectors or even completely block them if we need to, so that we don't have any information being leaked, like personal identifier information and stuff like that. And even one of the newest things that was announced from a security standpoint with the data loss prevention policies is eventually, hopefully here in a few months, we're going to be able to restrict certain actions in a connector. So in that Twitter example, if you do want to completely block Twitter altogether, you want people to be able to read tweets in an application or a flow and do sentiment analysis or whatever. You just don't want people making a tweet. We can go down to that fine-grained level and just block the send a tweet action, but allow the read tweet action.
Yeah, that's I think again, wanting to have more granular control of that, but that's also, data and insights that you can learn about how people are using the application. So that's another benefit to all of this, is that you can learn over time what are the behaviors that are happening within the solutions that are being developed, and then go back and review those actions and change policy, and tighten down security if needed based on those patterns.
Yeah, exactly. And, we have the Admin Center, the Power Platform Admin Center, that has those kind of high-level analytics, but we also have the Center of Excellence toolkit that you can plug on top of all of that to give you even more detailed, holistic analytics across like all of your environments, what's going on, what connectors are people using, what devices are they connected to when they're using your application. Even there's tools built in there to help you analyze and easily set those data loss prevention policies and everything that you would need from kind of a governance standpoint. That COE toolkit kind of offers all those tools that we need for that.
Well, that's a good segue into kind of the bonus question at the end. I always like to ask this, but people want to find out more about this and the topic. Like, where are you pointing to people towards this day? I mean, I know that there's a lot of just adoption.microsoft.com has fantastic resources, but kind of where is your go-to resource that you point people?
Well, one of the first things when you're looking at setting up Power Platform for your organization is setting up that COE toolkit. And you can get to that at aka.ms/COE toolkit. And there's all kinds of documentation out there walking you through what are the individual components of it and how you set it up, videos and documentation that you can read for that. So that's a resource I point to. Back to our earlier question about, code first development and low code development and working together. A good resources that we just released about a week ago now is the Fusion Development Learning Path on learn.microsoft.com. So if you go to aka.ms/learn/ I think it's Fusion Dev, yeah, then that will take you right there to a learning path. And that walks you through scenarios like how to integrate Azure API management with a Canvas application and things like that, and how you would do those integrations and work together as Fusion development teams.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, April. I expected you to have those AKA resources memorized to be able to generate those quickly. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot for your participation in ESPC 21.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hello, ESPC community members. This is Christian Buckley, Microsoft MVP and RD with AvePoint, and I'm talking today with Ernie and Andrew from Nintex about using the Microsoft Graph to integrate into Teams. And so maybe let's start with basic introductions.
Hey, very quickly from my side, great to see you all. Andrew Murphy, I'm the VP of Solutions for Nintex in EMEA. Ernie, over to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ernie Hayter and I'm a solutions engineer at Nintex.
Excellent. Well, let's jump right into that with question one. So Andrew, you were asked to integrate the Microsoft Graph into the Nintex Workflow Cloud. So what was the business case for that solution?
Yeah, really good question. We were looking to see how we can take some of the business applications that we build for customers, like claim handling, incidents and accidents, those sorts of things, which have quite a case management pattern behind them, and push those and surface them into Microsoft Teams. So a lot of our customers are now sitting in Microsoft Teams. They love the collaboration features that sit in Microsoft Teams. And a lot of our workflow apps provide the process and the structured data gathering behind that. We wanted to bring that case management collaboration capability into those applications. Now, there are some easy things you can do there, such as adding an NWC form into a particular tab inside of Teams, and you can have that assigned to a static team. But we wanted it to be quite dynamic. We wanted to be able to go and spin up channels automatically, play around with the private channels so that we could restrict users that had access to content, and really give a dynamic interaction capability there, as well as, and I think Ernie will talk about it later, as well as do some of the tidy up as well. So we all know, hey, if you're dynamically spinning up Teams assets, at some point in time, you need to clean that stuff up so you don't get that team sprawl. So that was sort of the business case that we were looking to answer. And it turned out to be pretty interesting. Now, I handed that story primarily over to Ernie to try and figure out. He then did a great job on that. So well done, Ernie.
What is the process like of building that out?
So initially, the whole, as Murph said, the whole idea behind this whole process is just really getting that collaboration going. And I think that one of the biggest challenges for us was, as Murph said, is just wrapping our heads around how to kind of make sense out of all of this clutter, like having too many channels or too many messages flying around in Teams is counterproductive against our use case in the first place. So I think just starting off really small, just send out a message to a team, just kind of letting everyone know this is where we're at in our process at the moment, and kind of building from that momentum on kind of gave us more ideas and more grip as to how we can actually make this into one bigger cohesive business use case that we can actually scale in the long term.
And Ernie, I think on the process side, what sort of, if we think about it technically, what was kind of cool is that you've got the Graph API that sits there, and then in NWC you've got the ability to write extensions, and extensions enables you to connect and bring that extra capability of the Graph API into the Nintex platform, which then gives people like me who are not the devs anymore the ability to go and drag into our design canvas to say, hey, I need to go and create a team. I need someone to collaborate, and then it goes and creates a site for me, a channel for me. I need it to be these members, and then goes and permissions it up. I need to allocate a task out to people, and then it's posting in that cool adaptive card stuff you did in order to go and give someone a notification in the channel to go and play with. So really that, being able to do the technical plumbing and then passing that off to say, okay, there's the technical plumbing. Now you as the sort of empowered business user, go and build the application. And then for me to be able to see that sort of lighting up. And then of course, sort of going through the dev cycles quite rapidly, playing around with, oh, that didn't work, oh, that did work. And where I really did press the right button. Where's my channel, buddy? What's going on? And some of the discovery that we had along the way was a lot of fun. But for me, that whole process of you writing the extension, me being able to build it, and us both being able to then go and see what it looks like, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the biggest perks that I enjoyed about working with the Microsoft Graph APIs, having the power in the back end to be able to really easily kind of incorporate this into third-party software such as Nintex, and then for it to be easily palatable for the end user as well. I really enjoyed just the versatility of using the Microsoft Graph. If I can't use it in NWC, I can use Power Automate to kind of bridge that gap. And if I can't use Power Automate, I can use some third-party web API to kind of integrate with the rest. So it makes it really a versatile tool as well.
Nice. What did you think about only when you were figuring out the sort of documentation side of it? Was that pretty easy? Or did you just not sleep as we went through? Because you seem to do it pretty quick.
I actually found it quite easy ramp up. The biggest game changer for me was the Microsoft Graph Explorer. So Microsoft Graph or Microsoft provides you with an API explorer that you can use. You just log in using your user, and you can basically just test each one of the endpoints, almost similar to a tool like Postman. And I think that in itself just really provided me as a developer a platform to just quickly learn how to use the Graph API and what are the small little nuances, the headers that I need to add. And another nice feature about the whole Graph Explorer was the permissions, the API permissions that you need are right there. It gives you the list. You just need to go and add that onto your directory application, and Bob's your uncle. It just works.
So for question 2, because I know it sounds like everything ran perfectly, worked first, worked right the first time. So question 2, what kinds of challenges did you experience along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely nothing went wrong. As with any software, as with any software project. No, I have to say that as Murph has already rightly said, I think one of the biggest concerns for us was just the cleanup of all of it, and it can get quite full of clutter if you're creating a separate channel for each one of your engagements or your claims, if you want to call it those. For me, that was one of the biggest challenges, to kind of wrap my head around how to approach this in a way that will make sense to an end user, and also not tie up the front end as well. So doing things like archiving these channels once one of our inspections are done, having to go and create an archive using NWC DocGen to create a little chat log so that you have the paper trail of everything that you've done in the channel, and then you can go and delete it. That was quite a challenging hurdle to get around, especially with some of the limitations on the Microsoft Graph API, such as you can only have 30 private channels within a team. So how do you kind of bridge that? So we're kind of spinning off separate teams once we hit that limitation, which is not ideal. So we're constantly having to kind of reevaluate the way that we approach this. So I think looking towards the future as well, which we'll obviously cover a little bit later, is just how we can work towards having less of these type of limitations, or kind of empower the developers to be able to find more eloquent solutions to these types of things. So that was one of the biggest challenges for me. There are some technical debts still surrounding the Microsoft Graph API, which I would have loved for it to be solved by the time that we finish the project. So unfortunately, sometimes not all of the endpoints would do exactly what you wanted to do. But I guess this is the nature of the beast, and that's why I really enjoyed using NWC with this, because I feel like you can, because of the enablement that Microsoft Graph kind of gives you, you can actually leverage external software to kind of bridge the gaps that there still are in Microsoft, and even the gaps that there might be in NWC, you can bridge with Power Automate. So there's this dual play between the different systems that's really exciting for me at the moment. I'm looking forward to see what we can do in the future with this.
Well, that's a good segue to question number 3 is, where would you like to take it next? But besides providing your feedback of the limitations of the platform, make sure, anybody that's using this, if you run into like that 30 private channels limit, let Microsoft know so that we can get enough of us there so that we can see change get that hopefully expanded. But what would you like to see next in the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I'd really like to be able to play around with this slightly more, kind of incorporate some sort of AI into our approach, being able to kind of look at our workload trends in our solution. Specifically, we're looking at inspectors, assigning inspectors to do health and safety inspections. So just being able to see, well, this inspector is really responsive this time of the day, or so let's kind of have that inspector on that site at that time, or just see which group is the most responsive to reacting to these inspections, kind of using AI and machine learning to be able to kind of just do this workload allocation. That's something that really excites me, and I'm looking forward to being able to kind of explore these ideas as well. One thing that I didn't mention earlier that I really liked about this whole process was playing with the adaptive cards within Teams. That's something that I wasn't aware of before this whole project started, and it just opened up my mind, and I just want to use it for everything now. And I love the fact that you have actionable tasks in Outlook as well, which are very similar to the adaptive cards. So I still haven't used those, so I'm looking forward to actually being able to incorporate those into our processes. So yeah, I'm very excited about the prospect of using this platform and see where it takes me. So absolutely looking forward to it.
And for me, I mean, I'm very keen. Where does it go next? Is to take the great work that Ernie has done and push it out there so that people can have a look and get inspired by it a little bit. And that's not only the wider community, but also even inside of Nintex. We spent quite a bit of time doing internal evangelism, and then just seeing people's eyes light up to say, hey, these are things we never thought of doing with this platform. And then now they're sort of coming at us with all sorts of ideas that we're taking and putting on the famous backlog that will then prioritize what we get put in there. So there's some really fun stuff coming down the line.
Well, thank you to both you guys, Ernie and Andrew, for your time today. Thanks to Nintex for sponsoring ESPC, and for all of those that are watching, enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Cheers.
So hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Jeff Willinger, J Willie on Twitter, or the real J Willie on Instagram, where I'm spending a lot of my time. Actually, we're going to talk about that too, Adam. I'm lucky enough, first of all, thanks for joining us here. We're live from European SharePoint Conference, but not exactly live, and we're not exactly in Europe. I'm in Southern California. My buddy Adam Harmitz is up in the great Pacific Northwest in Kirkland, lovely Kirkland, suburb of Seattle, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Home of Costco. That's where Kirkland Signature comes from. Not that our European folks will really get that one, but it's a big box for it, and use the brand here.
Great. So yeah, so we're recording this, and I am super psyched. Adam is a number of as many of you've seen me throughout this week, I've done a lot of interviews, and Adam has the distinct honor of being the toughest one to get a hold of, mainly because it was because of me. But now that I've got him, I want to get the most out of him, because here's the scoop. I am obsessed with Microsoft Viva. Viva, right? And Adam, I believe, is one of the product managers. Adam, what do you do for Viva?
Yeah, sure. Well, I've been with Microsoft 16 years. Most of my career was on SharePoint. And now, of course, a lot of the value that you see in SharePoint will continue in SharePoint, but it's being sort of resurfaced and reborn and re-energized through Microsoft Viva. So I consider myself one of the founding product people of Viva, helping put it together. And then in particular, people know Viva's 4 modules, right? Learning, topics, connections, and insights. And the connections and insight product is under my product management team. So I try to shepherd and make sure those are best of breed.
Love that, love that. And coincidentally, I just started recently at Zilio, based in the Netherlands, and I'm running the North American operation. And one of the things that I just happen to be building out is our Viva practice. So because I've built, I don't know if you know this, Adam, but I've got a lot of claims to fame, but one of them is I'm almost at 1,000 intranets in my life. That's
Oh
over
my.
15 years, 1,000 intranets. That's a lot of intranets. But guess what? You just made my life a lot easier with connections. You know, we always think the new version of SharePoint, it's still, I think that it's been evolving, and I think Viva, you guys have hit it out of the park. Um, tell me about, tell our viewers what they need to know about connections and how could it, how could, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to throw out the term digital transformation, but I do believe connections is the first sort of entry point into transforming an organization.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it is, I mean, it's a gateway to your employee intranet. It is the front door to Microsoft Viva. And, you know, if you've built 1,000 intranets, then your 1,001st will be a Viva Connections intranet. Like for existing SharePoint customers, it absolutely is pulling through all the years of value that you've invested in SharePoint, but putting it in, you know, new ways, new places, putting it in a path of usage within Microsoft Teams. In fact, the easiest way you can get started with Microsoft Viva, period, is just to take your existing SharePoint home site, your existing like central portal of your internet, and use Viva Connections to put it in Microsoft Teams. It's easy. It, you know, it just takes a couple minutes. And then from there, of course, you can use more and more of the parts of Viva over time, transform it and take more modules and put them into this gateway. And then this summer, which is really like the heart and soul of Viva Connection, is our new mobile experience. Love responsive web, still has a huge role to play, especially for sort of depth experiences to get to parts of your internet. But Viva Connections on mobile was really us rethinking as experts in internet and listening to customers and co-designing with them what a mobile internet would look like, a mobile gateway to the employee experience, something focused and born during the pandemic, frankly. It's one of the first enterprise products during the pandemic. We ourselves are working from home and have that sort of empathy for what is going to be needed on mobile for that. And then also just, you know, listening to our customers what they're going to need in a work from home hybrid workplace. And so it uses feeds, it uses dashboards, it uses links of resources, all the stuff you're familiar with on mobile phones that, you know, really when you want a depth experience beyond just sort of a shrunk down website, and puts it front and center.
Love, love, love. I go through myself. There was a time where I would go an entire day and the same battery, and now throughout the day I have to keep my phone charged because I am on my mobile device all day. And mobile experiences for SharePoint in the past were, it really depends. If you paid a pricey consultant like myself, it would look amazing. Out of the box, not as much. But from what I see with Viva, out of the box is going to be, you know, remember when we used to say, yeah, we want to make it look like Facebook? And you guys at Microsoft would always be like, we don't want to make it look like Facebook, but we do want it to be an amazing experience. Because all I think about is user experience. And from what I've been seeing, the Viva experience is so elevated, you know, from an employee standpoint, that employee experience, that employee journey is so elevated now.
Yeah. I mean, you know, SharePoint com sites look great on mobile, and they're great for certain things, but we're really trying to get daily habits and sort of really being the front door to your entire employee experience. That's where you really want to invest, right? And that's really where you want more than you've had before. And, you know, yeah, whatever competitor we're trying to be like or not, we're really sort of just grounded and co-designed with customers. I think you'll see when the mobile experience gets to market, like it was absolutely co-designed with our key preview customers. And really tailored to what they need from a work from home environment. You know, apps and aggregating all the apps that you need and great task completion. Those are the scenarios that really popped. And so we're really, I mean, we're letting customers guide us through what they really need for the gateway to your internet and the gateway to your employee experiences.
Of course, I absolutely love hearing that. So I know obviously we're virtual here at in the European SharePoint conference. Any travel plans for you coming up? I know me personally, I'll be at the Microsoft Collab conference coming up in June, and then I plan on being at SharePoint Fest in Chicago, my former hometown, in July. Anything for you or your team?
Well, for work-wise, I know we're going to start showing up to a couple conferences pretty soon, probably starting in the summer. We were just talking about how we can get back out there. Of course, there'll be a lot virtual as well. I don't have my first work trip booked. I am so looking forward to getting it on there. I know there's a couple great ones coming up. We also, we're a global team. We sell global software. People around the world use us. And so we have folks in Oslo and Hyderabad and Suzhou and, Vesa, of course, in Finland and Atlanta and Vancouver. And so, I got a lot of travel to do to just visit our remote sites as well. I have some personal travel to your neck of the woods in Southern California. I got a lot of family there. I'm looking forward to that. But I think in the latter half of the year, we'll start getting out and seeing the community face to face again. It'll be great.
When you come down here, maybe we could even squeeze you in for a little LA SharePoint user group. Wink, wink. And I was like, no, I'm on personal.
It's over my 10-year anniversary with my wife. I'm sure she'll be totally fine if I just skip out for it.
We'll invite her to the SharePint.
It sounds good.
There you go. And anything else you're looking forward to? Are you a big movie buff, gamer? What's your give me like 2 things about Adam Harmons that people do not know.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, I grew up in Southern California. I love summers. I love the sun. And then I moved to the Pacific Northwest, right? Where, growing up, I never appreciated the sun because it was always there for me. And now in the Pacific Northwest, when it's here, I got to enjoy it. So we were fortunate enough to have a little cabin a couple hours out in the mountains with rivers and lakes and all that. And so I am really looking forward to getting out there, taking the kayak out, enjoying the hikes, enjoying the outdoors. I just wrote a blog post last week about all the summer toys that I like to have after 4 years of accumulating them for the cabin.
I think that this is the summer that everyone is looking forward to. In fact, here in LA, or actually in California, I believe, I happened to be watching Jimmy Kimmel last night, and Governor Newsom was on there. And I know a lot of people are like naysayers about him, but it was pretty hilarious. Jimmy and him were kibitzing back and forth. And I understand that June 15th, no more masks in California.
Yeah. Well, there's all those. Yeah, Washington's been following most aligned with the West Coast, and certainly we're looking forward to some of that as well. It's about the same date or something like that. But yeah, for sure. Good thing about the outdoors too is we can even do a little bit of that last year. We were fortunate enough during the pandemic just because it's all distance, but it'll be great to get back out and see friends and family and all of that.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. Well, I've truth be told, Adam, I quarantined in a certain way. I'm a big pickleball player, so I play pickleball 7 days a week.
Invented in Seattle and Bainbridge Island, if I'm not mistaken.
It's so funny, Adam. I have heard so many. I was just in Michigan in the Grand Rapids area, and someone told me it was invented in Traverse City.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I've only played once with our head of data science just the other day. And my dad plays a lot. He told me that he has this rule where we always whoever serves first is the person closest to Bainbridge Island, but maybe that's apocryphal for all I know.
I got to tell you, in every community, it's a different way. Closer to the ocean, closer to the highway, north side, south side, east side. I'm like, you know what? Let's just start playing. I don't care. I personally, my strategy is always to receive first because you get 2 times serving, and there's more pressure.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've been playing.
I had a great time when I did it. We went there. We hoped the court was empty, but it was during league play or whatever, like community play. And we're like, oh, maybe we'll come back later. Like, no, coming in. And then people, it's such a great community. They put us on their team. They were they embraced people that were doing it for the first time. I mean, let's be honest, it's not as good as the SharePoint community, but it was pretty close.
No, but you are spot on. It is a fabulous community, very welcoming, very join us. They're not exclusive. For a beginner, that was very generous of them.
Yeah, totally. And exactly.
I just discovered lawn bowling. Are you familiar with lawn bowling?
I've not tried that. I think I've heard of it, but I
didn't think I would be a lawn bowler.
ABCD, which one's lawn bowling? I guess there's grass and bowling balls. Is that?
Yeah, it's grass and a weird ball, it's more like bocce.
Ah, okay, yeah.
It's like a combination bocce, cornhole or bags, and shuffleboard.
Oh, wow. All together?
Yeah, and it's very social, very fun. To me, any sport that you could that revolves around drinking is always a fun sport for me.
Yeah, no, I'm looking for cool stuff to buy for that cabin. Like I said, I'm gonna have to check out maybe the bowling
I
kit.
think that's why I embrace the SharePoint community for the share pints.
Of course, as so say we all.
Look
And
at
the
this.
SharePoint monkeys, right? Like you got to have your old SharePoint monkey.
I've got oh yeah, and I've got pickle juice here. And it's not really pickle juice, it's some type of energy shot that you could do.
To make you the best pickleball player ever?
I don't know. I need all the help I could get, Adam. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to be in Europe this fall on a pickleball cruise starting in Basel, going up to Amsterdam. So any of our European friends that are watching and you're interested, hit me up. Would love to see you.
That'd be cool.
And with that, Adam, it has been an absolute pleasure. I really, really appreciate you taking some time out and talking to me. I think the viewers are very interested in Viva, getting their arms around it. And Adam, is there a Viva sort of like Teams? I'm guessing there's some type of Viva community somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, our tech community is, the Microsoft tech community, that's where you can really sort of engage with us and get, see our latest posts, see what's coming, and get links off to all the great literature. Viva is a product, right? It's its own product. We're investing a ton in its own sort of resource centers, literature, marketing material, best practices, learning pathways. In fact, I have a big meeting next week with our what we call a content authoring team, that not only helps with writing the product strings and all that, but also with all the sort of help material to get people get started. And yeah, I mean, we have a huge, bold, ambitious plan to help people get started with Viva through a bunch of that stuff. So tech community is probably the best place to check it out.
So where does, because, the big buzz was Project Cortex and then SharePoint Syntax, content services. We're going to end with this. I know I told you I wasn't going to ask you that too many questions, but where does Viva sit in Project Cortex or content services? Is it part of it, or did they change the name from Cortex to Viva?
Yeah. So Project Cortex was a twofer. It was both what ended up becoming Viva Topics and what ended up becoming SharePoint Syntax. So when we started Cortex, it was an awesome tech incubation. It was an awesome thinking. Naomi Moneypenny, who I know you interviewed, was, that was her sort of thinking. And of course, syntax and topics still work together directly, like the end-to-end scenario, like they reinforce one another in such great ways. But we decided that with the pandemic, with work from home, with the hybrid workplace, it was just such a huge opportunity for everybody to up-level their employee experiences. The topics fit really well into that, and that's where we wanted to create that center of gravity. And then likewise, with all this cloud and digital transformation, they're really, Microsoft has a chance to help so many customers with content services. And so you'll see Syntax, which starts with content understanding, but grows over time to be the center of gravity on that. And so we really see them as two interrelated, but at the end of the day, as we explored what Cortex was, separate opportunities. And so that's where we ended up with brand. I know it was a little bit to follow because we took something, split into two, took new brands. But give us a chance to sort of build that out and build some momentum around it. We'll clarify all that for everybody.
Thank you. On behalf of all some of the MVPs that are not as roll up their sleeves guys, more high level, that was a great explanation.
Cool. Yeah. And you didn't even ask me the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint, so we're all good.
Oh yeah, that I know. That I know. I was buddies with Stephen Rose. He was Mr. OneDrive for a long time.
Indeed. Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, Adam, with that, we will wrap up our interview. I really, really appreciate you taking some time with me today. I appreciate the SharePoint, the European SharePoint conference is so well run. Sarah, Ella, Kevin, Shane.
Absolutely.
So thank you to my friends over in Europe. Thank you to Adam up the street, up I-5, I guess, or 405.
Yeah, you keep going up. You could take the 101, I guess, if you really want the scenic route. Or what is it, the 1, the PPH, yeah. But yeah, it was great talking to you, Jeff.
Thank you very much, and we're going to wrap up. See you guys later.